Welcome to the Thriving Artist Podcast, where we share strategies and support for artists to thrive.
We know that the art world can feel like a lonely place, and we want to provide a network of support, impactful strategies, and an abundance of encouragement to help you grow your authentic art career.
We're your hosts. I'm Jamie Smith.
And I'm Kaylan Butine, and we are also the co-founders of the Thrive Together Network, a community of female and non-binary identifying artists and artists who are caregivers.
We truly believe in community over competition, and we're so glad you're here. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to another episode of the Thriving Artist Podcast. I'm Kaylan Butine, one of your hosts, and I'm taking this episode solo today. I love networking, and I think I am best at bringing people together in small groups, making little pockets of connections that then grow into larger ones. So on our last episode, number 26, we talked about 4 relationships that every artist needs. And today we are sharing in a follow-up conversation about how to network and actually build those relationships and do it in ways that are sustainable. This is a really important conversation. So step number 1 is to go back, listen to that episode, number 26, so that you can identify the layers of your art relationships. We talked about artists needing 4 layers of people surrounding them. You are in the center, of course. You and your art, your precious art is in the center. Then you have your really close art buds, your close friends. The second layer is your peers and your mentors. The third layer, the third ring around you, is your audience and your collectors. And the fourth is your professional connections. So once we've identified what kind of relationships we need, these different layers, the next step is to really know what to do with those relationships and how to network in ways that are sustainable to us. So we're not overwhelmed, so we don't feel like we're just a cog in this big machine and wheel, right? Networking is really about sharing the good, important things that we're doing rather than just building content, right? And I want to remind you that networking is authentic. It is good and it is exciting work to do. It's just when we don't do it in ways that are sustainable, we can get overwhelmed. So networking is hard work though, and it can take a lot of time. It's one of those things that I think, as I said, can easily overwhelm us, but there truly is nothing wrong with having a strategy or a plan to develop your network. It does not mean that you are skeezy. It doesn't mean that you're slimy or weird. It doesn't mean that you're using people. Actually, what I think it means when you are intentional about building your network is that you are motivated, that you are invested, that you care, that you're trying to make specific connections that have meaning and purpose in your life. There is nothing wrong with that. You are being intentional about your art career and the art career of others, right? Because our relationships in our networks are reciprocal. We give a little, we get a little. So before I share my 5 strategies for sustainable networking with you, I do want to let you know about a free gift that Jamie and I at the Thrive Together Network have available for you right now, and it's called the Artists Networking Toolkit. So included in this toolkit are worksheets and activities plus 2 free sessions for our popular Art and Tea weekly networking program on this very topic. These are open house style sessions where you don't have to be a member to join us, a network member, but you do get to just come and check it out, see if you like Art and Tea, and just engage with this free content all about networking that is there for you to support your career. And these 2 sessions are coming right up. They are going to take place on March 14th and March 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific. On the 14th, we're going to be talking about all the content from podcast episode number 26. We're going to be breaking down our art relationships and identifying where we have some gaps to fill in those layers to make our art careers healthier. And then on March 21st, we're going to be talking about what I'm sharing here with you today. We're going to tackle these strategies about how to make those relationships happen, how to stay connected and do it in ways that are sustainable. Listening to this podcast episode is great. It's going to give you lots of food for thought. But if you come to those sessions, we're actually going to be doing some of that work together in real time. So we would welcome you to come download your free artist networking toolkit. You can find all this information at thrivetogethernetwork.com. And you can also find the Zoom links that correspond to those two open house sessions on March 14th and March 21st. They are available in the toolkit or in our Instagram link tree on our Instagram bio, which is Thrive Together Network. Okay, let's dig in. 5 sustainable strategies for networking. So you have established that you don't want to do this thing alone. You don't want to be a lonely artist, right? Number 1, my first sustainable strategy is to identify your relationship layers. Again, this is what we're going to be doing on March 14th. It's part of the free artist networking toolkit, and it's what we talked about in episode 26. But this is really the foundation. You have to identify those layers. Who are the people in those different categories, in those layers? Write down their names. If you're a TTN network member with a copy of the Thriving Artist Map, or if you have that networking toolkit, there is a worksheet for you to do just this. But you can also do it on a blank piece of paper if you don't have those two tools. So identify those relationships, write them out, and count yourself lucky if you even have one person in each of those categories, right? Like, it's all a long game. We're here to grow. You don't need to be overwhelmed by the number of people in your specific categories. Just identifying them is the first step. Okay, the second step to sustainable strategies for networking is to target the gaps. So what I mean by the gaps is the places where those layers feel a little thin. Maybe you've got a lot of people in your audience, but you could really use some close art friends. Maybe you have a lot of close friends and you know a lot of artists. You have some mentors and peers in your corner, but what you really need is some professional connections, right? Layer 4. So write out the layer as you're writing out the layers in that step number 1. The second thing to do is kind of think through the gaps. Where are things a little thin and how can you move forward with bulking up those layers? Okay, we're moving quickly through these. Number 3, the third strategy for sustainable networking is to pick a time frame and a time amount. Okay. Here we're getting into the nitty-gritty. While, of course, many of these relationships are with friends, I do want you to treat networking as a legitimate business task. It is so important to the life and longevity of your artist career. You have to make legitimate time for networking and consider it part of your quote-unquote work. This is part of the business. This is part of being sustainable, having growing connections, and having a career that is really fruitful and healthy and rich, right? So I want you to pick a time frame, aka when. When will you network? And then I want you to also pick a time amount, aka for how long will you network, okay? Number 3, time frame and time amount. So if you're just beginning, I'd recommend either picking 1 hour a week to do this, or maybe a 2-hour time block each month, right? So you could do it in one big chunk where you're kind of breaking things down and putting a lot of time into this once a month, or you could take a little time each week to do this. Now, don't forget that you actually probably already have some networking time built into your life. So I want you to think about your schedule, think about what you do in a week, what you do in a month, Identify where you are already doing some networking. Count those hours too. If you're a TTN network member, every time you show up for art and tea, you're networking, you're going into breakout rooms, you're connecting, right? Time spent on the network with us is part of growing those connections, part of networking. If you have a close studio mate that you get together with once a month for an artist visit or just to chat career stuff, that is part of your networking, right? So consider everything that you already naturally do, but then think about where you can add in a little more time to be strategic, to do things that will help grow your career and grow your network. So I want you to make a time for the task of networking and then set a goal for how much time you want to spend on it. And I'm not meaning to complicate things here, but I think as you're considering your time frame and your time amount, it's important to note that we've got 4 layers of relationships that we've identified in our network, right? So you may not want to tackle all 4 layers at one time. Maybe if you're thinking of doing networking 1 hour a week, you do a different layer each week, right? You kind of break things down. So it's important to see that big picture to know how those layers are interacting with each other. We don't want to spend all of our time focusing on one layer. We want to have, a healthy variety of time that we're putting into each of these layers and where we're breaking them down. And also consider those gaps, right? Maybe spend a little more time in the layers where, you could use some bulking up. So evaluate, include all of those layers in your weekly and monthly task of networking. Okay, number 4, moving on, the 4th sustainable strategy for networking is to share consistent content. So this strategy actually helps you focus energy on what you are sharing. I want you to share consistent content and share that content consistently across all layers of your network. Let me say that again. I want you to share consistent content and share that content consistently across all layers of your network. Maybe I should say that 5 times. You can really hear me stumble. So, did a museum acquire a new work of yours? That is something to share. Spread the news to your close friends, layer 1, to your mentors and peers, layer 2, to your followers and your audience, layer 3, and to your professional connections, right? All 4 layers should know about that great news. Do you have a new collection you're about to launch? That is something to share. Spread the news, again, to layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and layer 4, your friends, your peers, your followers, your professional contacts. My point here is to make sure that you are taking the same content and that you are sharing it across all layers of your network. I think it's easy to share with one layer or another, right? Some of us are just kind of better suited for certain types of communication, and we're going to consistently share things with one layer or another. But we need to make sure we're covering all of those layers and really sharing the same content, because that is simplifying things for you. You're not coming up with something different to share each time. You're taking the same information that all of those people, all of those layers in your network need to know. But I want you to be consistent and go through the steps of sharing that content with each layer. Okay, and this feeds right into my 5th tip. Tip or strategy number 5 is identifying your outlets. So identifying your outlets for each layer of your network. This is the how. How do you share with each layer best? Your close friends, maybe you use texting or WhatsApp. Maybe your peers, layer 2, you use the Thrive Together network, or maybe you have some peers on Marco Polo that you're sharing with. Layer 3, your audience and followers, what do you use? Is it Instagram? Is it your newsletter? Maybe you have multiple outlets for sharing with your audience and followers. Facebook, I don't know. How about layer 4, your professional connections? Are you emailing those folks? Are you sending them postcards? What is your strategy, right? What is your outlet for connecting with those different layers? In an ideal world, all of your layers are connected through all of your outlets, right? Everyone, it's this one big funnel. Everyone from your friends to your professional connections are on your newsletter list. They're all following your socials, right? As you continue to build out these layers and make your connections, it is important to have different outlets for communicating because, some people aren't as good with social media as they are with email. Some people might let your newsletter stay in their spam or their junk and never read it, but you still want to make sure that you're sharing consistently to have the best chance of getting this information out to your different layers of your network, right? Identify how you best communicate with each layer of your network and be consistent with sharing all of the goodness that you are doing through each of those outlets. And I would really invite you to write out a plan for this and set up all of this content at once if you're able. So when you get ready to post something on Instagram, take a minute and see if that fits into your next newsletter draft. See if it's something that you should text a friend, right? All of this won't cross over. We share in different amounts across these different outlets, but I do think it's important to think more big picture about how all of this content is connected, how all of it is this big web that is there to support our careers. And do some streamlining. Streamline some of these actions, streamline some of this content and information and how you're sharing it. And I do think that will help us feel less overwhelmed. Okay, I know I shared a lot today. Hopefully your brains aren't spinning too much. I hope I gave you lots of food for thought. Take what you will, take what was helpful to you, and leave the rest. Reminder again that we are going to be going through all of this content in the Artist Networking Toolkit. We have all of this available for you. It's available for all of our current members, but we're also reaching out to you to offer this content because we know it's so important to have that plan for building your relationships, for building your network, and really making better connections for your art career. So we would love for you to join us for our free sessions on Tuesday, March 14th and March 21st, where we're going to strategize about these different layers of our art network, our relationships, and how we're communicating and networking with these layers. So you can head to thrivetogethernetwork.com to download your free Artist Networking Toolkit, get the links for these sessions. We hope you found this episode useful. And of course, we hope to see you on the network. As a reminder, we are here for you. We are cheering you on, and we so believe in the work that you are doing as thriving artists.